Hello and welcome, everyone. This is your podcast, Follow Hope, and this is your host, Heidi. And today we have an amazing, and beautiful coach with us. Her name is Ilana. Hi, Ilana. How are you today?
Hey Heidi, I'm doing amazing. Thank you for having me on.
For sure. Thank you for being my guest. I'm so excited to learn about you and to talk more to you.
Yeah, let's do it.
For sure. So tell me something. Let's break the ice a little bit. So I'm just gonna start asking you like questions about yourself.
Sure.
Let me ask you this. Where are you located now?
I'm in Philadelphia.
Okay,
So,
you're Philly.
yeah, I'm in Philly. I'm out here on the East Coast. I'm born and raised.
Nice.
Total Philly girl. Yeah.
Nice. So how do you like the Eagles?
Oh God, don't get me started. I'm not really into football, but I worked at a sports bar when I was in graduate school
Uh,
and my money depended on sports. So I have like a very interesting relationship with it, and I don't work at that bar anymore, but it's like all I can think of is like, man, if I was bartending right now, I'd be making so much
so much
money.
money. For
But then
sure.
every time we lost, people would be depressed and not tip. It was
Yeah.
messed up.
Yeah, they're like, I don't want to spend money. I already just, I got
And yeah,
my heart
yeah.
broken. I don't need to do this now.
Yeah, so I have a very weird association with football. But it's exciting. Everybody around here is excited. Yeah.
Super excited. You remember when they actually won? I think when was that? Was
Yes. Yes, I do.
oh, were you bartending when that happened?
I don't think so.
I think it was
I don't
2016 or
I had just
18.
I had just stopped. I stopped bartending in 2016. Yeah, I had just
2016.
yeah. So I think I had just stopped. But I mean, everybody's excited. I went to get my nails done the other day and I got them like Valentine's Day done. And I
Uh,
said to the lady, you must be getting this from everybody right now. And she said, nobody.
no.
Everybody wants Eagles.
Oh.
Everybody wants green and white. She's like, nobody cares about Valentine's Day. I was like, okay.
She's like Valentine's girl.
She was like, was it? She whipped out all these Eagle stickers for your nails. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know.
Okay. Oh yeah, Philly. That's something about Philly. I'm very close, right? I'm in New Jersey, which is not far.
Mm-hmm.
They're very big on sports, and when it comes to the Eagles, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
all right, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me say. So you were born and raised there. That means you never lived anywhere else.
Well, I went to the University of Pittsburgh. So I lived in Pittsburgh for 4 years. And my family is from Israel. So we would live there a lot in the summers growing up, but I would say primarily Philly.
Philly. Okay. How about
Yeah.
have you traveled to another state?
Another state
Yeah,
or
here in the
another
US.
country? State. Yeah, I've traveled more out of the country than in the country, but I've been to like Texas and Virginia, and I don't even know. I haven't been out to the West Coast too much though. That I need to get out to the West Coast. I was in California for like one day one time. And I went to Arizona earlier this year for a life coaching conference, but like other than that, I really haven't done West Coast at all. So that's where I need to go.
Yeah, for sure. So that means that you are not thinking about like moving. You're just I'm a Philly girl and I'm just gonna stay here. Or do you think about like
Well,
maybe
actually,
moving?
yeah, actually, I have a plan in about a year and a half, summer of 2024. My son and I were going to move to Israel.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a big move. So that means he's been
Yeah.
there.
No, he's 3. He hasn't been there yet.
Oh
We're gonna, yeah, we're gonna go in November. My oldest niece is getting bat mitzvah. My brother lives over there. So we're gonna go over for the bat mitzvah and we're gonna stay for a little while and check some things out and come up with a plan. And my dad lives there too. I have plenty of family there. So, and then I want to move there next summer because I want him to do kindergarten there so that he can start to, you know,
get
really
familiar and
transition and yeah.
transition for
Yeah.
sure.
So, my mom said to me, the longer you wait, the harder it's going to be.
Yes,
So I'm trying to take that advice.
for sure. Oh wow, I'm a little interested. Why Israel? I know your family is there, but
Yeah. That's where I'm from.
do you like it like more than here in Philly?
Yeah. I mean, Israel is very family oriented. There is a playground. I mean, yeah, a playground on like every single block. Everywhere you go, there's a playground everywhere. Um, they have radio stations for preteens to learn about positive body image. Like they understand that healthy kids mean healthy adults, which means a healthy society.
For sure.
So my son, even though he's very little, he's very intense and he's very engaged with the world. And I think that that is a beautiful thing and that it needs to be fostered in the right environment.
For sure.
And unfortunately, in Philly, just like in a lot of places in this country, there's shootings and all kinds of things happening. And I just want to move him somewhere that just really takes care of the kids.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure. I actually just made a post today about like when are schools gonna teach about mental health? You know,
Mm,
I'm like, when is this gonna happen? Because it's such
yeah.
a, you know, like people don't really talk about it. So when you are a kid and you're having all these thoughts and you're like, something is wrong with me.
Yeah.
And you know, when in reality all you need is help, but they don't tell you that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. And like not just mental health, but like communication skills, relationship skills, like, I mean, all of this stuff, like you get out into the world and you're like, I didn't need half of that shit. Do you curse here?
Yeah, that's fine.
I
That's
was like,
okay.
wait, I,
That's
I
fine.
curse. I gotta watch myself. I curse a lot. But it's like, I not that I didn't get anything out of school. I did, but like there are a lot of things that I learned that are most important that I did not learn in school.
For sure. I mean, how much do you use math in reality? It's like the math that we
Yeah.
use is like multiply,
Yeah.
sum, all of this stuff. We don't use all of that stuff
Yeah.
that you know what I mean, that they taught
Yeah.
us. We don't really.
Also, let's just keep it real. You can just ask Siri, she'll tell you.
Oh yeah, I mean, who doesn't have a calculator now, right?
Right,
Like
right.
no,
Yeah.
it's just
And don't
something.
get me wrong, like I want my son to learn math, of course, but I
Of
also
course,
really want him to learn like how to communicate effectively in the workplace,
for sure.
and how to process his emotions
Yeah,
and things like that. So I will teach him, but it definitely the schools, it would be nice if they learned a little bit more of that stuff. So I just really want to move him somewhere where his intensity with life can be fostered in like a healthy way.
for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. And you see that in Israel, like you see that it's happening there. You think
Hmm.
it's a good step. That's so amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So when did he turn 4?
In about 3 months, the end of April,
Okay.
he'll be 4.
Okay. So
Yeah.
he's almost gonna be 5 when you
Oh,
move?
he's almost when we move, yeah, he'll be 5 when we move.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you say April, right?
Yeah. Well,
Amazing.
yeah, exactly.
Amazing. So it's around the corner and then he's gonna be you moving in the summertime. So yeah, that makes sense. That's so amazing.
Yeah.
That's a big step. So good luck with
It's very scary, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. And it happens a lot of times, people move here from other places like me. I
Abs-
came here when I was 14, turned my life around. And, if I could have chosen to come here earlier, I would have. Because at
uh-huh.
14, I felt like my life was like, what? Where's
Yeah.
my mom? Where am I?
I
That
can only
was
imagine.
oh yeah, it was such a shock. And having my mom there, I always lived with my mom. So I came here because of my dad, and we never lived with him before.
Oh wow.
So that was like, like,
Wow.
it was a lot to process. So for you to take him a 5 when, he's actually going to, he's gonna be able to adapt more, to adapt better, to,
Mhm. Yeah.
have these friends, forever friends that you have, childhood friends
Right.
and all of that.
Yep.
Instead of him doing that here, then you taking that away from him because that's how we see it, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Mom, so that's an amazing step. So I love it. I love it.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So now let me ask you this. So I know you're a coach.
Hmm.
What kind of coach?
I am a relationship and intimacy coach.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And tell me, how do you help people?
So I have a coaching program called Partnership Aligned, and I work with women, primarily moms, but women who want to stop feeling resentful and feel more connected to their partner.
For sure. Okay. And do you have a specific age?
No, no. I mean, I tend to attract moms with little kids, probably because I am a mom with little kid. But I don't put out there any kind of age. Listen, let me tell you something. I am willing to work with anybody who's willing to do the work.
For sure.
That's really what it's about. You know what I mean? Because healing a relationship and changing your behaviors and looking at yourself honestly and all that stuff, like it's not for the faint-hearted, you know, it's for people who are willing to get uncomfortable for the sake of long-term stability and happiness. So, that's who I'm geared towards most. I care more about that than like whether you're a mom or how old you are, you know what I mean? That's what I care about. Like, are you willing to get uncomfortable? And like, I'll be there holding your hand. Like, it's not like you'll have to do it alone, but, yeah, I mean, I think in order to get coached in a way where your life really changes, you have to kind of make the shift from, you know, victim to ownership.
For sure.
Yeah.
Do you encounter a lot of people under the victim mentality?
Yeah, I do.
You
I
do?
think that most people I encounter outside of the coaching world are in victim mentality. I think you see it less around here because if you are a coach or you have been coached, or like if you're in this world that we're in, there's less victim mentality because I mean it's pretty much the key to emotional freedom, right? Is to get out of that.
You
And
know?
that's what we teach around here. Yeah. But I think like just with certain family members and certain friends and just people outside of this world, yes, I think mostly people are in victim mode.
Yeah, that is true. I
Yeah.
actually love that you're here for, for women that need help with this, because in reality, I do know a couple coaches that, will coach people after a breakup, but I don't see many people actually coaching while you're in the relationship, if
Yeah.
while you are it, so you can fix it, so that you can work on yourself and be and feel more connected.
Yeah, it's so funny when I decided to be a relationship coach, because that's where like my zone of genius is, relationships, 100%. I was always the girl that everybody came to about their relationship. And I was a therapist, so I learned so much about human behavior, you know, but when I went to become a relationship coach, in my mind, obviously you were in a relationship. But then I learned that there are relationship coaches for you to find a relationship. There are relationship coaches for after a relationship. Like I
Mhm.
didn't really like in my mind, it's like a relationship coach is for when you're in a relationship, but it turns out you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 But
Yeah.
I think now they're trying to, yeah, dating coaches. That's like
Yeah.
also
It's a
like
big
it's a
thing.
big thing. I'm like, whoa, like what?
Yeah.
You know?
I actually signed a client recently who's single. But she and I just really connected. She really liked my stuff. And, you know, she's working on becoming the best version of her because she wants to find a relationship like the real deal. And she knows that the work starts within her.
For sure.
So I think that's a beautiful thing. So, like I said, I will work with anyone who's willing to do the work. But my program and my Instagram and my podcast and everything is geared towards women who are in long term relationships or married and feel some resentment and feel stuck and don't know how to communicate in a way that really moves you forward. And they just want to feel relaxed again and connected to their partner. And so I'm the bridge to help them get there.
That's so amazing. I'm so glad you're here for them, because it's like I said, it's a little hard to find someone that's working when it's happening.
Yeah.
There it's the most I've seen is marriage console, and it's not the same, right? Because it's like both of them.
Don't get me started on that.
Yeah, it's not the same. And I actually, something I was reading the other day and clicked me, and now that you're mentioning, women trying to, keep themselves connected to their partner, is that women, I think it was something about women's sex is mental, something like
Yeah,
that. Like,
definitely. Definitely.
definitely. And I was like, whoa,
Definitely. Yeah.
it is so true. Like it's so mental. It even depends on the mood you're in. Like if you feel like, you don't look good, or you don't feel good with yourself, and you're trying to be with your partner, and he's all over the place, because men is just, it's so easy for them to get on, on certain moods.
God bless them.
It's so crazy. It's like I was like, oh my God, man, it's just, but yeah, it is mental. And I
Well,
do.
I think what it is, I think women need to feel connected in order to want to have sex. And I think that men need to have sex in order to feel connected, you know?
Yeah.
And that's a generalization. That's not for every man or every woman or every relationship, but like generally, I think that that's a pretty common gender difference.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's so true. Yep.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So what would you say was a defining moment in your life
Mhm.
that you said, I need to become a coach? Like what happened then?
Yeah. So I was a therapist and my marriage was falling apart. And my husband was an addict. And we had a baby and he was relapsing and everything was rough. And somebody in my personal life sent me a podcast from a life coach. And I had never listened to anything from a life coach before. And I listened to this podcast and it was about marriage. And I had never, in all of my years of being a therapist, I had never heard of anyone talk about marriage in this way, with just empowering you to have such extreme ownership over your own emotions and your own thoughts. And I was just blown away by it. And so I started getting coached, and I in a very short period of time, like just a few sessions, I was able to find a lot of inner peace within myself without him changing. And it was this moment of like, oh my God, like nobody around me needs to be different. Like I can let all that go. Like I can just heal me and then my experience gets better. And so I had this whole transformation, right? Like I went through this whole transformation. And then like I'd be sitting in my sessions as a therapist, like just not wanting to be there. I just lost all of the compassion and all of the excitement for it because I was so into the coaching and I wanted to share it with other people. But the clientele that I was working with, they weren't appropriate for this type of work. They really were appropriate for therapy, just the basis of, you know, the nature of their diagnoses. And so I found myself like sitting in session. Like I remember being in that office, having a client in front of me and just being like, I don't want to do this. These are not the things I want to talk about. Like I want to do something different. I want to do what my coach did with me. So I quit my career as a therapist and I went and I got certified as a coach. And so I took, you know, all my years of experience working with people and that certification and my degrees and everything, and I combined it with the personal experience that I had, and I created a program.
That's so, so, so amazing. So you're saying that you were actually at your job, right, as a therapist, and you just didn't feel like being there. Like you didn't feel the connection, the energy,
No,
the
nothing.
vibes.
And I knew I was in trouble when I found myself like judging my patients, right? My clients. Like when I'd be in session and they'd say something and I would just be like, in my head, I'd be like, oh, come on. Like I was judging them, excuse me. And I knew in that moment that I was no longer really being useful or loving in that job and that it wasn't about them. They were fine the way that they were, right? So like they hadn't changed.
Yeah,
It was just my desire was elsewhere.
for sure. And how different do you think is coaching and therapy? Like from doing it now, from actually having clients and seeing
Yeah.
people in a different way, how different is it?
There are some similarities and there are also some differences. I think it's pretty different. I think that, you know, like a really simple way of saying it is like therapy, mostly, this is a generalization, but mostly you go to therapy when you are like sub functioning, right? When you're like not fully functioning, like something's really wrong, there's a deep mental health issue, in order to get to a place where you're okay. And coaching, most people are okay, but they want to get to a place where they're great. So it's like a different spectrum that you're looking at. And because of that, I feel like for me, I can take someone further. It's also more fun for me. And I got to tell you something that sucks about being a therapist is you have to do a lot of paperwork.
Oh, for real? After
Yeah,
you
you have to write like long notes on every single session that you have.
oh,
So when I started coaching, I was like, wait a minute, you mean I get to do this and I don't need to write books of notes? Like, you know what I mean? Because you would end up getting behind in notes. You know, that was always something we talked about as therapists. I have a client who's a therapist actually, and she was just telling me this today. She was like, I have 8 notes to catch up on. I was like, girlfriend, I know how you feel. And
I
I
feel for
don't.
you. You're like, I feel for you, but
I feel for you and I don't. Yeah.
that's so amazing. So do you get to so you don't have to write notes now, or you don't have to write as much,
Right. I
right?
mean, I write notes for myself, just anything that will help me serve the client. Of course, I keep track of things, obviously, but there's no insurance company coming to check my notes,
Yeah.
right? The government is not coming to check my notes. My boss is not coming to check my notes. And I let my license expire, but like I was just talking to somebody about this today. Like when you're licensed, some people see that as a good thing, and it can be sometimes, but when you're licensed, you're also held back by a lot of laws and a lot of rules.
Mhm.
So letting go of that license actually opened me up to being a better coach because I didn't have to do things under somebody else's rules, and I could just do what really serves the client.
For sure. Yeah, you don't have to hold yourself back.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you feel like you make like people that you're coaching now compared to the people that you were seeing before as a therapist, do you feel like they actually take action and they actually make things happen for themselves more?
Yeah. Yeah. That was one of my biggest frustrations when I was a therapist. And, it's like no shame on the patient. They were sick, but like you'd have somebody telling you how they want to get better. Or this was my experience. Okay. Like somebody would be telling me that they want to get better, and we'd spend a whole hour making progress. And then I'd give them some things to work on to keep that progress up. And they wouldn't do any of it. And they would come in the next week and we'd like start over almost. Like it was very hard to get people to commit to doing any work in between sessions.
Mhm.
And one of the cool things about being a coach is that in my program, like you can reach me in between sessions, you know?
Yeah.
So that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. When you're in therapy, you see that person once a week or once a month, and that's it. You
Yeah.
can't text them. You can't. I mean, it's not that you can't. There are places that they allow you to do it,
Mm-hmm.
but being a coach, they literally have access to us 24/7. If they, of course, if we don't see it, and it takes time for us to, let's say we're sleeping, and then but we're gonna see
Yeah.
it, we're gonna help you.
Yeah.
You're
You can message me at any time.
you're gonna be up.
I always tell people like you can message me anytime you want, but like after a certain hour, I'm an early bird. I'm like in bed before 10.
Like if you don't get a
Yeah.
response from me, I'm sleeping.
Yeah, I know. And I run in and like when I have a client out on the West Coast and they're like 3 hours earlier, it's like 6 p.m. for them. I'm like, listen, I'm going to bed.
Talk to you
because
tomorrow.
I wake up early, and then they're like, you left me a message at 3 a.m. I'm like, it was 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Relax.
That's so cool. That's
But
so cool.
but that's cool. Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure. Now let me ask you this. How was your life? How was your life before when you were going through what you were going through with your ex-husband, you said?
Hmm.
Yeah. Was before him? Did you date before him?
Yeah. I actually had some really healthy relationships in my 20s.
Okay.
My marriage was in my 30s. I'm 39 now. My marriage was in my 30s, which it was not healthy. But my relationships before, I had a couple long-term serious relationships in my 20s, and they were pretty healthy. Yeah, but then I became unhealthy. I went through an addiction, and so it's no coincidence, right, that when I became unhealthy, I ended up entering into an unhealthy relationship. Like these things, this is what it is. Like, this is what it is. It's like, if you are healthy, you will get into a healthy relationship. If you are unhealthy, you will get into an unhealthy relationship. Like it's not something you fall into or stumble into. It's you walk into what you are willing to tolerate,
For
and
sure.
you stay where you feel comfortable, even if it's painful. And so that's why like the work really starts with you.
For sure. And any
Yeah.
anything you want in life. I was just talking to a client of mine earlier. I was like, listen, I understand, yeah, I'm looking for a job. I can't, I don't know why this is happening to me, this and that. And I said, if you change your thoughts, it's gonna
Yeah.
get to you. It all
Yep.
starts within us, but we only know that because we did the work. If you don't,
Exactly.
right? We can't expect everyone to know, but once they come to us, then we're like,
Mhm.
listen,
Yeah,
I got
exactly.
you. It's gonna happen.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Let me ask you this is if someone right now is on a relationship and things are not going the greatest, they don't feel a connection, they don't feel like it's not working out, they're not trying to leave their relationship, but they want to better
Right.
themselves. What are 3 things that they can start doing right now in order to start changing that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing would be, oh, 3 things. I want to tell you 5 million things. No. Okay, let me how do how do I wind it down? No. Okay, so particularly when it comes to relationships, it really matters how you say things. It really matters. Communication is not just about words. Like, I give my clients conversation prompts. I help them figure out how to say things.
Mhm.
But it's not just about that. It's all about the energy that you're coming into a conversation with. And that energy comes from your thoughts. So, like, one thing that you can start doing is you can start making lists of all the things that you really love and appreciate about your partner. And the reason that that works is because your brain is like a machine. It's going to look for whatever you want it to find.
Mhm.
Excuse me. It's going to find whatever you
Whatever
want it
you
to look
want.
for.
Yes.
Yes. So if you're always pointing out what your partner is doing wrong, or always like thinking to yourself, like, oh, this again, of course you're going to feel resentful. If you're always looking for the things that they're doing right and how they show up and how maybe they're not supporting you exactly the way you'd like them to, but they are trying to support you. Like, if you're looking for those things, your brain will find evidence of that. Now, both things might be true, right? Like the negative list and the positive list, it could be that all of it is true, but it's up to you which one of those you nurture.
Okay.
It's up to you which one of those you internalize, you know? So that's one thing that people can do. Another thing is like, I say start journaling. Like, start journaling about how you're feeling, what's driving you crazy, where do you think it comes from, what are the emotions that you're trying not to feel, and so therefore you cover them up with, you know, a secondary emotion. Like, what is it that you are trying not to take a look at? Go to the privacy and the safety of a journal and write it. Like, admit it. You don't have to admit it to your partner yet, but just admit it to yourself. Like, get aligned with yourself. Look at the truth, you know?
Okay.
And then the last thing I would say is, like, this is going to sound like it's not related, but it is like, start taking care of your body. Start taking care of your body. Get sleep, eat nutritious food, get some exercise, like, take care of your body, because so often the way that we see the world comes from being like too tired,
Mhm.
too hungry, too burnt out, too busy. And it's like, you have to take care of yourself if you want to have healthy relationships. So I know it sounds like it's not related, but it is actually directly related.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah,
And also make, women, it will make women feel better with themselves. And that's all we like, right? As women, we're like,
sure.
oh, we feel better with ourselves. We want to give more when we come from a place of, feeling
Yeah.
great with us, which is
Yeah.
that's so great. Well, thank you for all of that.
Yeah.
I journaling is something that everyone is talking about. Like, hey, you gotta
Yeah.
journal, you gotta do this, you gotta write it down. A lot of people don't understand why.
Yeah.
Can you tell the audience why you recommend them to journal?
Yeah. Journaling allows your subconscious to start taking over. Like, when you're talking to someone, you're half talking about what's going on with you and like half judging it, half talking about what's going on with you and half trying to sound good, half talking about what's going on with you and half rationalizing it. Like, your ego comes in and tries to do all these weird, funky things.
Mhm.
When you put pen to paper, there's like this magic that happens. It takes like half a page or so for your subconscious to just start taking over. And when you just like verbally vomit onto a piece of paper and just let all of it out, you let the racing thoughts stop racing. Doesn't mean those thoughts don't exist, but they stop racing because you've let that bug out of the jar, you know?
Mhm.
And it allows you to then take a look, black and white, at your thoughts. And if you do it consistently, you'll start to see patterns. You'll start to see patterns and you'll start to be able to pick up on things. And it's this way of kind of like taking your thoughts and just looking at them, like objectifying, like the awareness of looking at it. It's relief. It's a release. it's awareness, it's a process. Like it's getting all of the jumbledness and the tangled upness out of you and onto a piece of paper so you can clear up a little bit and really take a look at what's going on. It gets you out of delusion and into reality.
For sure. That's so powerful. I mean, if
Yeah.
anyone had any doubts, there you go. This is why
There you
you
go.
journal. This is why
There you
you
go.
journal, and this is why it's important. Take it out of your head. Don't let your, your ego tell
Yeah.
you, right? Just look at it and you're gonna be able to work on it. So
Yeah.
that's super amazing. That's super amazing. Thank you so much. Elena, I'm actually going to ask you this. Where can people find you? Like
Oh,
if
yes. So everything is called Partnership Aligned. So on Instagram, you can find me at Partnership Aligned. I have tons of free resources on there that you can download. My podcast is called Partnership Aligned. My website is partnershipaligned.com. So anywhere that you go to look for content, type in Partnership Aligned and you will find me.
For sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. I want to thank you again for being a guest on this podcast. And I want to thank you for everything you have shared today. I mean, you have helped me out. Imagine the audience. Everyone's going to be like, what? This is
Of
amazing.
course.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you
We
so
help
much.
each other.
For sure. Hopefully,
Yeah.
I'll get you back on here. I want to see what's going on over there in Israel.
Yeah.
And see
Yeah.
what
Thank you
happens.
so much for having me on.
For sure. You're so welcome. Is there anything else that you want to add?
No, I think just something that I like to say to all people who are like thinking about coaching, but they think like, oh, I don't know, what is it really about? It's too expensive. All the things that people say is like, you could spend the rest of your life not looking at your shit and just trying to manage it and avoid it and distract from it and eat over it and drink over it and all that stuff. Or like you could just let somebody take your hand and walk you through the process that they've already been through and feel a little bit of emotion and pain now and then be free.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's very powerful. I know the stigma of a coach. What are they going to do for me? Why do I need a coach? Well, this is why you need a coach.
Yeah. Yeah. It's transformational.
Yes, it is. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And I would love to have you back again. So
Great.
please make some time on your calendar. I know the busy calendar you have. So thank you so much again. And thank you guys for listening to us. And we'll see you in the next podcast. Thank you.